Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our third week of living with intention. And that is staying aware with ourselves. And last week, or earlier this week, we came up with that one big question in our life. And that is when something arises or plans arise, we ask ourselves the big question of, does this align with my life? Good morning, Farm Girl. That was a big question that we learned on the third week when I was talking on Tuesday. There's always not enough time to go over everything in the week. So in week 3, the big question that we learned is, good morning, Brian, is, does this align with us? And and I've got something to admit. I sometimes have issues, and this is what I'm about in my life. And sometimes I get beside myself because things happen, and I sometimes rush to judgment. Sometimes I rush to saying something. Sometimes I will go against my beliefs. But as I journal and do my journey to get better into life, I find myself doing that less and less. But sometimes I come across such idiocracy that I don't understand that, and it could be at work. It could be just something that's happening in my life. It could be me setting a boundary. Recently, I said no to somebody, and it had to do with money that I'm related to, and I was called every name in the book because I said no, because I need to say no and start protecting my space. And I'm realizing as I get older that you have to intentionally have a space in your life of peace. You have to have somewhere you can go for tranquility and peace in life. And throughout this course and the videos that I do, and then all the other information that you research in life, there's a lot of ways to go about that. And a strong way to go about it is awareness, having awareness and being mindful of, with the question of, does this align with my life? Does this align with my life? Is this something, good morning, Brian, is this something I can have in my life? And does it align with what I want to do in life? Does it align with allowing me to have peace? Does it align with my morals? Remember, we're talking about this week, we're talking about the core values in our life and where the core values of what they mean. We're talking about our character, our personal growth. And in our personal growth, it's not only physical, but it's mental. Good morning, Miss Norma. I'm glad that you're in here, and Brian and Farm Girl and people that are in here. So does it align with our growth? And one of the big things that we get into that is I want to recognize that it's not always, our life's definitely not always going to be about us, right? It's not about other people either. So when things happen, we have to be resilient. We have to be mindful that there's going to be things happen that we don't have control over. But keep in mind, we have control over how it makes us feel. I shared a story about a controlling boss last Tuesday that made a good employee feel lesser than they were, like they weren't good enough. And my answer to them was that from now on, look at that as he's the one with the problem, right? We all have people and things that we deal with in our life that we tolerate. Sometimes we intentionally deal with things that are somewhat bearable intentionally to unintentionally become tolerable and unintentionally become people pleasing to others, where we are putting up with things in relationships, we're putting up with things at work that we believe to be tolerable, but they're really unbearable because it takes away from us. When we're taken away our own values and we're going against our values, we're sacrificing bits of ourself for relationships and friendships, that's where we have to ask the one question: of how do I see my life? Is this going to fit into my life? Do I have to give part of my comfort? And sometimes with the boundaries, good morning, Batty. I'm glad that you're in here. I'm glad to see everybody, as a matter of fact, this morning. We are talking about our values and where our values fit into our life, and how sometimes we don't honor our values, and especially in relationships where we need boundaries, because sometimes we unintentionally put up with things that are tolerable, well, in relationships, friendships, in our family, and we just tolerate it. And as we get older, it's harder to tolerate different things. And this is where boundaries and asking ourselves, does this align with me? When you have to give a little bit of yourself in an uncomfortable way, that's where boundaries are needed. And I had an episode, or as we actually did a 4-week class on setting boundaries. So if you feel resentment, if you feel dread over commitment, if you feel overwhelmed, these are signs that boundaries might possibly need to be into your life. And for us to understand boundaries, we would have to understand what our values are, what our core values, and what we respect the most. Last Tuesday we talked, we were going to do a exercise on values and circle them. Remember, they're different from morals. That comes from usually religions and cultures have morals. But as we grow older, our values can change as they go along. One of my values, as I get older, is health. And in that, I would have to, along with that value, watch what I eat, try not to smoke, exercise, because I'm going to value health, because I would like to live longer. And there's reasons why that we choose what we choose when we're talking about values. Most importantly, the one question that's going to change things on how you see your life, living it on a daily basis. Now, remember, that doesn't mean that life's going to be perfect, because we're never going to get a perfect life. But what we're going to get is we're going to get understanding, especially when it comes to ourselves. We need to turn in all validation toward ourselves and live a life where our validation comes from us, that it is okay to feel this way. It is okay to stand up for myself. By the way, I don't like the way we've been doing that. Can we change it? Let's have conversations. Let's question the things in our life that we would like to change, not confront. I'm not saying that we confront people or confront things, but question where you would like your life to go. And dissatisfaction in our life often persists, not because it's unbearable, but it's because we keep it familiar and we keep it tolerable. That's where we have dissatisfying things in our life, because it's tolerable, it's familiar, it's comfortable, but it still takes away from our authenticity. Especially if, you know, if especially if we're coping and thinking about it, and if it goes up out of the way. Good morning, Norma G, Brian, Patty Lady, and everybody. I'm glad that you're in here. Um, but when we evaluate our life by consent, we're just revealing whether we're choosing our future or agreeing to some type of default. And if you're like me and been a people pleaser with low self-esteem through most of your life, most of my life's been lived by default, because I was always afraid to speak up for myself. And I would have to people please, because if I didn't people please or give, um, then I wouldn't be accepted. And that kept me busy from accepting myself, and clear until I got later into my 40s, where I had to do some work to rewire my brain that my validation comes from within. I was a highly skilled individual my entire life. I'm good at construction. People came to me for advice. But when it came to a personal level, I would have to hide my true feelings and just be a people pleaser and agree to things, even though it made me uncomfortable. You would always see me being nice, but it was people pleasing. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I was doing it out of kindness, but usually I was always being nice so people wouldn't have to suffer like I did, because I knew what it was like to not have help. So I went and helped everybody until that load became so much it actually sunk me down into my life. Hence why I do these courses. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I just started to question my life through journaling and being honest, opening up and staying honest. So knowing that and knowing that we've gone through 2 weeks together, and we talked about some values to consider of what's important in your life. And we want to focus on that. And what I'm looking for is how we started this course on, remember, our 1, 2, and our 3. So on our first week, we had talked about living on autopilot. That's just living possibly by default, which is just by chance, which is accidental, versus waking up instead of letting life happen to us, live life to experience life. And I've gone over a little list of things that we've talked about to where if our days blur together, when we're functioning, but we're not experiencing life, we're only functioning. When we're scrolling a lot, and most importantly, when you're downtime, when you get some time off and it just doesn't feel like you got any rest, that's a sign that life is happening to you instead of you living life. And that's a big sign. And as we went into week 2, we talked about the identity and self-awareness of who we really are. We did some writing exercises together of who we are. We would label ourselves as people. So when you to go back into that exercise a little bit and talk about it some this morning, is if I'm going to name 3 people, but 2 of them are going to be careers. I'm going to name a teacher who you want to be honest and patient, and available and trustworthy. A police officer who you would expect to be honest, had integrity, and be nice. Now put your name in there. How would you describe yourself? If we were at your 80th birthday party today and you had one best friend through life, what would you want that best friend to say about you? Yeah, you were sincere, that you were honest, that you were always questioning things, that you were curious about life. Good morning, Alicia. I find that people that journal, and I know that people that watch my lives, they're curious about life. And this is just one tool, one sidekick. This little chat that we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we go through this, that we can use in our life to make us aware and curious and question it. I'm not always going to be right. I don't give advice, but here's are some things that have worked for me. And it was questioning what I did with my downtime. I never scheduled time for myself because I was afraid to be alone. Could have to be because I was one of 11 children. That could be a reason that I was afraid to be alone. Or I was afraid to cope with my self-esteem issues. And I was afraid to cope with being alone and not doing favors from people because I was afraid I would be unliked, and that was the only place my validation would come from. When I was younger, good morning, everybody. When I was younger, I didn't have a voice purposely. And that came out through adolescence and in through my adulthood. On top of, I only listened to the insults. Last week I told a story that we just decked ourselves out, and put yourself in the situation where you just deck yourself out, uh, and you go to a party, right? And you have on the best shoes, the best outfit. Whether if you're female, you have on a beautiful dress with all the side accessories, and or if you're a guy, you just got on just the best outfit ever, and you're looking great. And everybody tells you you look great. But the only thing you're going to remember about the night is the one person that had an insult. Like, those shoes don't really go with that dress. Or that's a goofy cowboy hat that you have on. Or your teeth aren't white. And so we absorb the bad things. And we pay more attention to, this is what I've got to fix to be accepted. When really it's not. What we have to fix to be accepted is we have to fix our mindset through our values, come up with values, and fix our mindset and validate ourselves and realize that what other people say and what we're seeking out there really isn't going to help you go forward in life with a mindset that's going to take what I call success. Success to me is knowing where your validation comes from. Success to me is being comfortable with yourself and measuring and being in control of your mindset, allowing your reasoning in front of your emotions, especially if it's anger. And if you don't have something nice to say, then you're allowing your reasoning to be last at the starting line, basically. When we think, take it in and think. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Let's just go right into talking about our values and what our values are in our life and how we're going to utilize some of our values. I have this board and I think that I should probably be writing on it bigger. But let's just talk about what are the things that I have up there. So our values are about our character, different things in our character that would have like truthfulness in all of our interactions, possibly. I'm talking about the values right up and through here. So with character being the first one. So consistently between our beliefs and actions, and that's really important that we are consistent where our actions are with our beliefs. How authentic were you today with your actions versus your beliefs? And that's part of our character. These are things to think about. So you had honesty, integrity, authenticity, being genuine and true to yourself. That's not being authentic to other people. Authenticity means that this is true to me. This is alignment. This is me living life versus life living me, right? So looking back up there in our character, we had our honesty, integrity, authenticity, accountability, taking responsibility for your actions and knowing that so you can sleep better, taking accountability for your actions all the time. And it's never anybody else's fault. Typically, anything that happens to us in our lives, pretty much all our fault from how we're setting ourselves up now. So if we're aligned today with our values, we're going to have an easier future. When we're talking about integrity and honesty, accountability. Now, trustworthiness, being reliable and dependable to people. And not just to people, but being reliable and dependable to yourself first. And remember, you are the priority in your life. It's you that you want to be accountable to. It's you that speaks to yourself. It's you that lays down at night on your pillow and you don't want a rushing head. And you're going to keep track of your life through journaling, writing things down, and being a thinker and being curious. And this will lead to peace and tranquility. And then staying loyal, especially to your pets first. And then being fair in life, impartial. And especially being impartial and fair in the treatment of others. And then upholding what's right and moral, which is different than a value. Remember, we were talking the other day, we were talking about morals and we were talking about values. And a moral is going to be more from your culture, maybe a religion, something that you use that really could have been like my spiritual beliefs. Those are some of my morals. There's certain things that I just wouldn't do because it would be morally wrong, and some of them are bad crimes, etc. Those are the things that we're not going to do. Next on our personal growth and development. Okay, and personal growth and development, you notice that's different from character, because it's going to be part of us. So this is some values that when you have values in your personal growth, and you're going to value learning, continuous acquisition of knowledge. I like the way that's written. Continuously acquiring knowledge in your life and using that knowledge to use your values and your character, your relationship, your health, your work and career. And you would think that a lot of that is different, but curious people, and when you're studying about your life and personal growth and development, it's going to be through learning and curiosity and creativity, thinking innovatively and originally. That means that you're going to think the way that you are with authenticity into your life. And how does this align with me? That's how you're going to think. An error occurred on my music. So, wisdom. Wisdom is going to be part of our personal growth because we're going to apply knowledge with good judgment of what we already know. When we already know that this works, this is something that I can do, this works, this makes me exciting. Because remember, as journalers and people that believe in our values and us curious people, we like vitality in our life. We like excitement and we like to see growth and we like to see what it gives us if we try journaling, if we try paying attention to our lives, if we get out of autopilot, we get out of people pleasing, and we get out of how what people say make us think. Your mind, yourself, your mental health. You're the one that lays down with yourself. You're the one that's alone. So remember when we had our values and our integrity and our integrity is we had to be accountable and loyal to ourselves. When you're loyal to yourself, you don't let what other people say bother you because you're loyal to you. You're going to protect it. Are you going to let somebody talk about your mama? No, you're going to kick their butt, right? If somebody says something about your mom or your dad or somebody in your family, you're going to protect them. And you need to protect yourselves mentally. You got to have your boundaries and your boxing gloves on. You got to know some mental jujitsu to get through life. And it's going to help you with courage because you're going to fake fear and you're going to take risks. You're going to face the fear and take the risk to be your authentic self and be the person who you really are. And we're going to have self-improvement. And that is a commitment to bettering ourselves. And there's no better way to have self-improvement than through personal growth and development by learning, being curious, and being creative. This is all about our value week 3 of 12, about values. And we know that we're going to have a good week next week. So let's talk more about relationships and connection, where we would want kindness in our relationships and our connections. This is going back to some kindergarten rules. Treat others the way that you would treat yourself, right? And that would be a great value to have, to treat others the way you treat yourself. And then sometimes you don't have to comment on everything. You don't have to have the last word on everything. I don't know if I've talked about this much, but it's and something that I read is be a gray rock because they don't stand out and they don't say much. So sometimes you might be in a situation where you might want to think gray rock that way because nobody really needs to hear anything that you have to say. And you don't have to say something all the time, right? So respect, love, forgiveness, and generosity. Given freely to others that love you and give you is giving. And that is not people pleasing. Being in a true, genuine relationship with a connection with somebody, you're going to respect and value their dignity and you're going to respect and value their worth. This is really important, which means if you're respecting and valuing somebody's dignity and worth, you should be getting that back. Tana, I'm glad that you're in here, and I'm sorry about your life is in shambles, but you can take control of it just right now with the way that you think about it. Thanks for being here. And then in your love, you're going to have deep care and affection. Forgive. Let things go. So we've talked about character. What's gonna? I'm glad that you made it in here, and if you came across this, then you probably belong in here. And right now, we're talking about a list of values, and these are some things to consider off into our life. So, in our character values, we want to have honesty, integrity, authenticity. In our personal growth and development, most importantly, learning, curiosity, creativity, and being curious and creativity and calling some people out, right? And health and well-being. So physical, mental wellness, maintaining an equilibrium in your life. These are some things that we can look at. Happiness and gratitude. And when you're upset, remind yourself, shit, I'm supposed to be grateful. If you get upset and you start to boil, just let it go. Just let it go. If you have anxiety, just let it go. Emotions go away. Count it down. Sometimes you can think of your emotions and your life kind of like a blue sky, right? Once in a while, it's going to have dark clouds. Once in a while, it's going to rain. Sometimes it's going to thunder and lightning, but it always clears out again. And emotions are a lot like that. You could have a cloudy or sunshiny day. Remember the stickers you got? So sunny, cloudy, happy. And our emotions are that way. They're like the weather, they come through. There's things that trigger our thunderstorms. There's things that trigger our tornadoes and our hurricanes, because sometimes we can get so mad that we could be a tornado or a hurricane. So just remember that, especially the person that, Tana, when you feel that your life's in shambles, like the weather is going to go away, time will pass, and set yourself up today by the way that you think. You can click my link tree on my profile and watch all of my podcasts and everything for free through those links, and it's free. You don't have to give me anything. It's just there for you. And I do that out of kindness and compassion for others, because I too have had bad days and things happen to me in my life. And, that's one way that I can give back. And that's part of my value. And I want you to be able to learn. I want anybody that comes in here. I had some of the same people always come in here for a year. I appreciate them. And, this helps me out too. So on our health and well-being, which is what I need to be working on, is physical and mental wellness. And the physical side is that I'm currently smoking, and I went to get acupuncture yesterday. I've never had that before. That was interesting. And to take away sensations, they popped all these little needles in each one of my ears, and I fell asleep. I was supposed to stay in there for 30 minutes. It was pretty interesting. Mindfulness is the present moment attention, is to bring yourself right now into the very present. And that is being mindful. And that is where some people find I'm anxiety, I'm upset, I'm pissed off, this happened, that happened. Look, take yourself bring yourself to right now. Bring yourself to right now. You're alive. Breathe in and breathe out. Right. You want to be enthusiastic for life. So when it comes to health and well-being, peace, inner calm, and tranquility, isn't that something neat? How would you like to have a day today full of inner calmness, tranquility, and be enthusiastic for the next moment or the next day? To be enthusiastic. When you're curious about learning and you're curious about living a better life, that creates enthusiasm, and you can do that through journaling. But you have to put in the effort. If you don't do it, that's hard. But if you do it, it's hard, right? If you put in the work and you put in the effort and make it about you, journaling's not writing down, I'm pissed off about this MRFer. It's about expressing our feelings, and it's about exploring ourselves. And and I shouldn't have said it's not about this or that. It's to read what you're saying. It's to read what you're thinking. It's to write down how my day went. But sometimes we need to seek out what we're taking for granted, which is gratitude. We're always wanting something, and gratitude is based on being grateful for what we have. And I'm glad to have this. Some things that are so tolerable, that are so ingrained into your life, that you are complacent, and you might not even realize that. Think of a moment in the summer when it's really hot and the air conditioner goes out. God, I can't wait till they get here. And we don't think of that every day. Think of in the winter when your heat goes out and all of a sudden it's cold, or a window breaks and now it's cold. So we want to be grateful for our homes, for heating, for airing, for modern day technology, for things we don't think about. There's people around the world that live without a lot of these things. So gratitude is a good base to change your life. To change your life through journaling the gratitude. Let's talk about work and career, professionalism, where you're going to have high standards at work. And when one of your careers is being yourself, right? You have more time off of work than you do at work. And when you're by yourself, you're your authentic self, and only till somebody comes in the room are you going to put on some kind of mask to be who you think they need you to be. And that's what we're going to get away from. And that's what I'm going to help you identify through this 12-week course. Dedication and commitment to your work and to yourself. And I'm going to break this work, career, and character, because work, career, and character, building character, becoming yourself, doing the work is a career, is work. And remember, it's something that can be said about you. Excellence, striving for high quality, not just at work, but in ourselves. Teamwork, collaborating effectively. So where the teamwork is when it comes into yourself, these are the people with boundaries that you allow into your life. Remember, a boundary in your friendships is giving permission to be friends with somebody because you have boundaries, right? If you love somebody and their boundary might be when you get mad at me, uh, don't do this, don't act like that, don't break a window, don't punch a wall, don't take shoes off. You know, boundaries to accept our behavior. Don't come in at 11 in the morning and blast music. You know, there's all kinds of things. Taking ownership of the task in your life, not just at your job, but taking ownership of the task in your life. Taking ownership of right up here of character, personal growth, relationships, health, work, and career. And right now we're talking about work and career. We're getting down into global here in a second to talk about what that's about. Guide and inspire others. And, you know, just because you're not the boss at work, remember, you are the leader of yourself. So you are your own leader. Be inspired by a boss. If you have a bad boss, realize that is his problem, not yours. If he fails to see what's in you, then go get another job as well if you want. Take ownership of the task in your life. That means that you're going to take ownership of the task at your jobs, and you're going to take ownership, okay, of the alignment of your life. You're going to take ownership of your life so life doesn't live you, that you're going to live life. And you're going to do that with strength, with curiosity, with everything that we talked about in our character. We're going to have accountability, our personal growth, relationships, health, work, career. And what are we talking about when we're looking for different values and living globally? Well, this is the importance of family bonds and where you think that you fit into socially. And remember, when we're talking about that, it's also a place where we are aligned, where our beliefs are accepted, our opinion matters. We're not told or made to feel like we don't matter. This would be global and universal values that we have. How they work is in our family. It's important to family bonds. And once again, a good family bond is going to be based on good character values, relationship values, right? Work and career, maybe, maybe not. But there's some things, personal growth and family values, exercising and letting your family know. I'm working on myself, explaining to people that I might have new boundaries. You know, I've been thinking about it that this doesn't align with me anymore. As I get older, I'm not able to tolerate, I'm not able to watch your kids 10 times a week, that possibly maybe I can't do this anymore on weekends. So I want you to think about that, of what's tolerable in your life as you get older. And we unintentionally, remember, and I was telling you that in the beginning, is sometimes dissatisfaction comes from being complacent, and we purposely have dissatisfaction in our life because what's unbearable is tolerable, and now we've gotten used to the unbearability of it, of where it's no longer tolerable in our life, and we unintentionally create intentional burdens in our life because of complacency, because of not thinking about it and not taking control and not taking action and not having the proper boundaries, where our voice and our authenticity is not being heard. So going back to the global universal values, there's fun in here. There's vitality in this because there's freedom. It's liberty and independence, from the old you. It's liberty and independence from life living you, because you're now taking control of life. This doesn't mean things are going to be perfect, but you're going to be mindful. You're going to be in control. You're going to have more of awareness of your life. When you intentionally take off this Saturday to rest and sleep, go for a walk, eat a good meal and take a nap, that's your downtime, and read a book to take care of your mind. Right? That's freedom and liberty, independence, tied in with some peace and some tranquility. Security, staying safe and stable. This isn't going to happen to me anymore because I'm now aware of it. I've been curious enough to learn something. So I'm now going to be safe and stable in the future. In 10 days, my goal is to be safe and stable from people asking me for time on my weekends, time that I don't have, that I give this time. And then I feel burdened by it. And then I get resentment. And I'm at the point where this resentment and all of this is starting to feel like this should be my life when it's not. This is what I mean when life is happening to you. Hey, Ray, by the way, can I have your truck? Hey, Ray, can I have this? Can I have that? I want you to think about that. And I want you to have really good global values right down here. These global values right there. Global values. Look them up. I don't make this stuff up. So also in our global values, we have personal responsibility. This is accountable for one's life. You have employment security and religion and spirituality, spiritual beliefs and practices that you don't get made fun of for, that are accepted. These are my beliefs, and they don't have to be yours. But you have to realize everybody's on their own journey. And in a lot of stories, in a lot of religion stories, they all vacuum back to people that lived. I don't get into politics and I don't get strong into religion. I'm a Jesus believer. And I know that every religion on earth in the world acknowledges him in one way or another. Loyalty and faithfulness to people and causes. When you have loyalty to people and causes, right? Loyalty to people and causes. This is where I want to pull. I want you to think about that, write that one down. Does having this person, place, or thing in my life align with my values? Do I have alignment because of this? Or is this causing me something that's pulling me back? Is this causing me a feeling of resentment? Does this cause me dread? Do I freak out when I look? Thank you so much. Full Send Stables, Full Send and Stables. I'm glad you're in here. I'm glad everybody's in here. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Ray. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm somebody that likes to journal and teach a lot of, mental jujitsu, I guess is what I call it. So I'm not your sensei. You don't have to bow or anything like that. I actually do construction for a living. I live in the Northern Virginia area. And I love giving you free advice. I don't ask for anything to live a better life. You can go to my link tree if you miss episodes, and you can watch this all that you want to. Let's go back to our personal growth, self-development and learning. Personal growth is so important in life because personal growth is taking everything that's happened to us now and bundling it all up, forgetting about most of it, but realizing this is where I learned some lessons. So where do we come from? What happens to us when we get these values and these morals? Where does all this cockadoodle bullshit start? Well, I'll tell you where it starts. It starts with your parents, your babysitters, your older brothers and sisters, people of authority that you had to listen to in your life. And during early child development, get some of these values and morals. And then you become an adolescent, and that's where you're going to try to cross some lines. This is where you're going to start testing the waters. And then you become into adulthood. And for me, I got into adulthood with a lot of no self-esteem. I had no self-esteem in adulthood. That's why I was a people pleaser. And that's why I did anything to not work on myself. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s. I wish I would have known this in my 20s and 30s. And I did journal back then. I kept things, but I never considered ownership of my life. And it's strange to even say that, but we do have ownership of our mind. And I was letting what others think, said, or did affect. I let what other people said or did affect my mind directly. And until I started doing what I do now, which is even in my business, it's interesting. It has, and I'm not blowing a horn saying it's the best business in the world, but I can't believe I own it. And I did it through planning, through journaling, through working hard, through focusing on people and not profits. In our life, we want to focus on ourselves and not relationships. Because if you focus on yourself and you don't focus on relationships, you know what's going to happen? Is you're going to blossom with the best people as friends you've ever had in your life when you focus on yourself. And when you meet new people, they'll understand you, they'll respect you, and they'll see your boundaries. You don't need to, hey, here's a list of my boundaries. This is what you had to do to be my friend. And the thing is, in life, we all wear a different mask sometimes for our friends. There's things we do and don't want to know about. There's things we don't talk about. And those are boundaries in relationships. When you meet somebody new, you're not going to tell them, about your personal stuff. So what you need to do is concentrate on yourself. If you really want to make friends and you want to make an impact on society, you want to do something at work, you want to do something great, you want to be successful. Success is comfort with yourself. It's not money. And I've read a lot of books and done study on this. Fame is exhausting. For people that are famous, money doesn't make you happy. What makes you happy is having an understanding of your values and the alignment in life and where you belong. That's vitality. That's waking up with a purpose. Learning we can redirect our thoughts makes a huge difference. Brian, can you pin that? And this is where having control of your life comes in. Reading that right there. Alicia, thank you so much. And learning we can redirect our thoughts. That's what I did. And we can redirect our thoughts. And we can do this through the values, through being curious, through accepting ourselves and letting go of the baggage that we carry that we're trying to blame on somebody else. This is so-and-so's fault because they said this. You remember my story? You're dressed like Cinderella. Or you're dressed like, I don't know, Ken Barbie, I don't know who the guy, or Prince Charming, I guess, right? And somebody says something to, let's just say, you two look horrible together, and now that wrecked their night. And it shouldn't, because you don't get your validation, folks. You can't carry grudges. You can't have gratitude and hate at the same time. You can't have grudges and peace at the same time. You can't have agony and vitality at the same time. You can't judge others and expect not to be judged. You have to, in your life, plow the field, man, your mind. You have to reframe your mind on how you think. And if there's somebody you don't like, you need to journal a couple of their good values, because we're all being judged. We look at somebody, we instantly judge them. I want you to try to look at people and be instantly open that that is a human, no matter what they believe, no matter who they are. There's a lot of hate going on these days. Don't participate in it. Participate in yourself, all about you. How's that make me feel? How do I feel about this? Don't get too much politics into your life. When we're talking about right here, the global things, and I'm going to read it again, what that means, past our work and career. So it's family. Do you know that 89% of people prioritize family connections? That means around only 1 in 10 do not make a priority to a family. And sometimes these are people that might have been hurt by a family, something happened. And there are situations in life. There's situations in life where you can't go back. to family. Think about ex-spouses, this and that, where you've been hurt in life. There is religion and spirituality beliefs and practices that we all must have in life. And the personal responsibility and accountable for one's life. These are some values to consider into our lives. When we're rounding up toward the last 10 minutes, and we realize the importance of values, and we realize that week one of our 12-week journey together, and I'm glad you're here. I do want everybody to know how glad I am that you're here, and I'm glad that you found me and I found you. But there's one question that you can ask yourself every day and every time you need to do something. And that question is, does this align with my values? Does this align with my life? Is this going to wear me out? Is this going to give me dread? Do I have to do things I don't want to do to be liked? No, you don't. And no is a full sentence. And during the duration of this 12 weeks, I'm going to show you how to live authentically and to live your life on your terms. And when you're focusing on yourself and on your terms and blossoming as an individual, you will meet some of the best people you've ever met in your life. I'm now drawn to only people that give me work. And you had to have an equilibrium in yourself. My meetings align moving forward, employing people and allowing them to make the best choices. So the one question that can change your life is, how do you see your life? And where do you think your values are? What do you value the most? What's important to you? Pleasing others to make sure everyone's happy in your life? Do you find yourself in that people-pleasing mode? Or having a day where you get to take a nap in the middle of it every day? Yes, I do. I take a nap every day. I don't have a good day. I got a little list here of why, and I want you to always write down what resonates to you. But here's a little list, something kind of cool that I've not shared. If you get in touch with your core values and you start living your life on purpose with intention, here's a few things. Here's a few side effects, okay? One side effect is you're going to have more meaningful relationships, especially with yourself. That's a side effect. I'm just giving you a warning. You attract people who share your values. When you live with your values, those are the kind of people that are going to be around you. And that's kind of cool because it's kind of like a already preformed boundary situation. Another side effect is you're going to have better decision making. Clear framework for choices. Remember the one question that I was talking about. Does this align with me? Does this align with my life? Excuse me for 1 second. I got a little bit of a cold, and I'm sorry about that. My apologies. This is a side effect. Another side effect. Increased motivation. Working toward what truly matters. Can you believe that? If you just journaled, wrote things down, watch this class, and study, and you don't have to watch this class. Is it not an advertisement? I do this for free, so I'm not selling you anything. All I'm selling you is a better life if you follow it, and it's free. They say there's this old book called "Don't Trust the Guy with the Shirt Off His Back," but hey, man, I'm not a peddler. Another huge side effect is greater life satisfaction, alignment between actions and beliefs. That's another one. That's a side effect. And here's one. This might be a deal breaker. Reduce stress. How'd you like to go to bed without a racy mind, or get up without a racy mind, or not have to grab your phone right away? How about waking up, making coffee, sitting down in peace, petting your cat or your dog, and thinking for a good half an hour or more of how good the day is going to be? And you have nothing to fear in your day. I don't care if you're going to court. I don't care if you got child support. I don't care what it is. This doesn't make you. But these are situations that you have yourself in, and you need to get in the mindset, take accountability, responsibility, and do what it takes to be responsible and accountable for any of your actions in your life. You got to pay the piper. And when you pay the piper and you want to sit down and start getting your life on the right track, it's going to start with journaling. It's going to start with some alone time, and it's going to start with aligning yourself. Sometimes we find ourselves in life's controlling me. I have bills I can't handle. I got this. I can't afford this. But these are situations you're in. So when you're living your day, how's this day going to affect your tomorrow? How's this day going to affect your next week? Take it. What did you say one time, Alicia? Take it by the horns. Grab life by the reins for personal growth. One of the things in the next 8 minutes, I said this earlier, I just want you to think about is we're back on Tuesday of next week. I'm looking forward to it because Tuesday is going to be week 3. I am going to change the board for all of week 3, and we'll still talk about intentional living. But I'm sorry, week 4 is next week. I said, wait. So week 4, since we did the intentional living, who we are, and now we're talking about our values. Week 4 is going to be purpose and vision and where you're going, and to give our life a direction. That's what we're going to be talking about next week. I just spoke a little bit about that, and that's giving your life direction from where it is now to where it's going and where you want it to be. Now, I'm going to tell you, age doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, nothing matters. If you're human, this is the week that you're going to want to watch, because purpose and vision and where you're going is going to affect every moment of your life, and you have to show up for it. You have to show up for your life to do things that align with your life, to make sure you have enjoyment, adventure, responsibility, accountability on a daily basis in your life. The purpose of your life and to experience human existence is for you to be happy and to be on a journey to better understand yourself and to love yourself, because you were made by love. And believe me, there's a lot to love there, and there's understanding. And you don't need that from anybody to be valid. You have to get it to yourself. When you focus your life on yourself and you want to have a great life, focus only on you and how you feel about yourself, the friends will come. I believe in business to focus on the people who work for me versus the profits. And when you do that, the profits will come. What are you going to focus on in your life? I believe in the people who work for me. I have people working for me in positions that I don't even need. And that's how much I believe in people. And I want you to do that for yourself, to put you in a situation that and I do need them all. But that's what I mean. You want to feel belonging to a community, but you first must belong to yourself before you can belong to anybody. It's so important that you realize how great that you are and that all your dreams can come true. And a lot of what's happened to you in the past isn't today. You can't be okay with dissatisfaction just because you're comfortable with it and just because it's bearable. It's not okay to be in a relationship where you're called names every once in a while. It's not okay to be at a job that tries to make you feel stupid on purpose. It's not okay to belong to a church that makes you give them all your money and you get nothing out of it. And where were you on Sunday? It's not okay. Okay. Unless this is aligning with you. And you can either do some research. I need you to be curious. I want you to gather wisdom in your life. Okay? If you want to feel part of something, first become yourself. Let go of grudge. Let go of hate. Don't let anybody occupy your mind. You know, the most expensive real estate in the world is your mind. Don't let anybody stay up there without paying rent. Kick them all out. Couple of little things I want you to know here in the next few minutes. If you want to identify the values in your life, consider role models. What values do you admire in others? What do you see others doing that, man, I wish I could do that? Write that down. If there's somebody that's just a role model, like, man, I really wish I could do what he's doing. That means that it resonates with you. In life, we have these little nudges. Hey, I get them. I used to in the afternoon, and would come home and watch TV and eat potato chips. That's called a couch potato, right? And this little nudge would say, hey, shouldn't you be doing something else? Listen to your nudges, right? Reflect on the peak moments in your life. When are some moments in your life that you felt most fulfilled? Do you have any of those moments where it was exhilarating, that you felt fulfilled in life? This is to help find your values. Narrow down your non-negotiables. What's non-negotiable in your life? Huh? There's some things that, man, you do this and you are dead to me. What are some of your non-negotiables? Fake people? People that talk politics too much, people that insult you, the guy down the street that threw a rock at your window, the people that flip you off. I don't know. Um, I want you to do things. I want you to test things in this sense. How would doing this fit into my life? 2, 3 years ago, I never saw myself on TikTok doing what I do. And I don't know how I did it. I did it because I had to break some fears, and it got me some followers. It got me onto YouTube, and it makes me feel good. But one of the things that I noticed the most is when I follow what I'm saying, when I'm doing what I'm saying, and I don't all the time. Believe me, I get upset, man. I honk the horn and flip the bird. Um, we run into idiocrities out there, but you can't let others and actions of others control your life. And man, that's what it's done for me. It's like I'm slowly getting my life back. I'm looking forward to my meetings today. I'm looking forward to seeing you back here next week. I'm looking forward to working on this series. I've done a 14-week journaling series. I've done a 4-week boundary series. All of these you can find on the link tree. All of them are free. But I want you to change your life for the better. And you'll see people out there that don't have confidence and this and that. I don't want you to think about them. I want you to think about you. I want you to think of yourself as the best possible version of you. I want you to take control, find where there's complacently, change your routine. Change your evening routine, go for a walk, read a book. And when you go into Barnes and Noble, don't tell anybody I told you this, you can read any book for free. I did that a lot. Just little things. Put your life on course. Jump on the freeway express to the real you. Find the real you. Say I, your name, and jumping on the I, your name express. So for me, I, Ray, and jumping on the Ray Express to find Ray. And guess I'm not going to take any exits because I have boundaries. I'm not going to read any signs. I'm just going to think, learn, and create the real me and try to get out of any routine that doesn't align with my values, right? You think going out every weekend and having a cocktail is an okay routine for a value of somebody that wants integrity, accountability, and finance in the future? Or do you think that staying home and reading a book or going on a walk and saving your money might benefit your future more? Hey, I'm not saying live bored. I'm saying live what's going to align. If this is you here, okay, and if this is you here in 10 years over here, you got this 10 years, right? Everything's adding up. Oh, you're so welcome, Farm Girl. I'm so glad you're in here, and I'm glad to always see that name. I like that. I actually look for it so I can say hi to you, and Batty and Brian, Alicia, and some of the folks in here that are new that come in. I appreciate all of you so much. So I'm going into Arlington today around some of our shows. We have a well, I can't say this um, over TikTok because I don't know who all watches me, but we are planning a big event this weekend that I'm looking forward to with a lot of work, and we even have some people in town, which I'm looking forward to. Brian was supposed to come down here today, but I'm really busy running around. If you have a dog or a pet, I want you to think the way that dog or pet thinks about you. And I wish he was in here, Next week, I'm going to introduce everybody to Echo. My dog is a Shih Tzu, and I'll show you what he looks like. This is Echo. Even my that's actually the name of my business as well. And be in the moment like our pets. That's right, man. These are smart things. Isn't he awesome? And I can talk to him telepathically. He'll go, ooh, 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 ooh. If he wants something, he doesn't really bark. But he's a tattletale. He likes to tell everybody when I get home. He won't bark at anybody other than me. When I pull, he's just like, rah, 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 like he's announcing to everybody that I'm home. Anybody else pulls up, one of the guys that works for me, anybody pulls up, he knows the sound and it's familiar. Think about that. I want you to be careful with things that are familiar in your life. And I'm glad that I brought that up, because sometimes I talk and think about something. But things that are familiar and tolerable in your life, are they really tolerable? Do they take away from you? Is there some fixing that we can do on that? I want you to have a good day. I got to get into work. I'm trying not to smoke today, so wish me luck on that. And we'll have some good videos out. And if you miss an episode on this, if you go, yeah, he does. He does know that, and he knows where I am. That's kind of funny. So yeah, I need a good luck on not smoking today. I'm going to do my best. Um, have a great day, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Looking forward to Tuesday. And I want everybody have a good weekend. And this weekend, don't forget to be yourself. Don't tolerate things. Think about and journal. Write some stuff down. Take some time to journal. And a sentence or two. Journal before you go to bed, when you wake up. What are you grateful about? What did I say, or what does anybody say that really resonates to you, that really resonates in your head?